Hey everyone, Jeremy here. Um, Pardon my voice, I'm still a little sick, cold is kicking my butt. But like many of you, I grew up in the late 80s, watching those blocky pixels on our old Atari 2600. And I remember going out to a garage sale with my mom, picking up a ColecoVision, and then eventually we ended up with an Intellivision. And I never lost that love for the retro gaming. And today I want to talk about something seriously exciting in the Intellivision world. Back in the day, the Intellivision was kind of the underdog console. While everyone raved about what was coming out on the Atari, Intellivision quietly built an incredible fan base. And that fan base grew even stronger thanks to the homebrew community that we have today. By the way, fun fact, I've actually designed box art for several video games on the Intellivision. Collector Vision, a couple of games there, Sydney Hunter, Akobashi, Brick Out by Intellivision Revolution, just to name a few. And just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about, here's one of the great homebrew games running on my Intellivision II setup right here in the background. Sure, it's retro, but the community's creativity keeps it fresh and alive. Now, as someone who absolutely loves the Intellivision scene, here's why I'm really pumped. So yesterday at PRGE, or the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, Atari announced the Intellivision Sprint. And yeah, this is pretty big for the Intellivision community and the retro gaming community as a whole. So let's break it down as to what we know so far. Wireless USB-C rechargeable controllers, which is something I'm pretty excited about. Even if not just used for this console, I'm really hoping that you can pair these with a PC via Bluetooth to use on JZI and TV. That would be absolutely incredible, because as of right now, there's not really a great controller option, or at least one that's easy to get. There are some homemade ones that you can order from people on Atari Age and within the Intellivision community. But there's nothing commercially available that really works as an Intellivision controller, because it's such a unique controller. Another thing is HDMI output on the console itself, so you can plug straight into a modern TV without having to mess with coaxial inputs or anything like that. And the really interesting piece I found out about this, there's a brief section in the description that mentions that you can play future games via Intellivision II and Intellivision II controllers, or that there's going to be some kind of adapter that allows some kind of compatibility between the original Intellivision II and this new Intellivision Sprint. No one has elaborated on that yet, and I haven't heard anything else aside from this one little paragraph on the website. So I'm really interested to see what that could possibly mean, and if that could mean that we can use peripherals on this thing, such as the music synthesizer or the entertainment computer system or the game changer. So any of those things would be pretty awesome. And then having the ability to use those additional controllers for 4-player games like World Series, Major League Baseball, or bowling. Now, the compatibility angle is still a little bit speculative. At PRGE, several members of the Intellivision community got to speak with Atari rep Dave. And he did mention working directly with homebrew developers for future releases. The big question is, will this be via USB flash drive, or will this be some kind of future cartridge adapter, some kind of link cable? We don't know yet. But the fact that many devs are already talking with them is huge for the homebrew scene, and I really hope that this is something that ends up getting supported and has enough sales that they feel compelled to continue producing more Intellivision related products, such as possibly a console with an actual cartridge port, a new flash card. Never know. As someone who's designed box art for homebrew titles, this sort of development gives me a really good feeling. It means that the console isn't just getting a remake, it's embracing the community that's kept it alive for decades. So for us retro nerds and homebrew creators, that's pretty significant. So the Intellivision II was an updated version of the original. It kept the signature controller, the disc with a numeric keypad, but it has a distinct feel. Many don't really care for the Intellivision II controller, which is why people seek out the controller from the Sears Video Arcade, because it's a little more like the original, closer in color to the kind of like grayish console there. Many games made clever use of the controller though. Cartridges loaded very quickly, of course. Expansion modules like the ECS and the keyboard component were very ambitious for the time, even if they were a little lackluster. All that made the Intellivision system, in my opinion, ahead of its time consumer product. Now with the Sprint, the promise is compatibility with original hardware and modern connectivity. So wireless controllers, HDMI output. We're talking about bridging generations. So why should you care about this product? Well, here's a few small reasons. If you already have an original Intellivision hardware and games, the USB adapter promise means that we may be able to integrate those into a new ecosystem. For new gamers or collectors, the Sprint gives you a modern way to access these Intellivision games with that original controller feel, without having to, try and set up complicated things like JZ INTV, which requires you to access the GROM and exec files, which can be kind of confusing for some people. It also doesn't have native controller support, so you do have to actually map keyboard controls to a controller in order to play with a gamepad on JZ and INTV. So this is just going to make it a lot more accessible. And for homebrew devs and box art designers alike, this signals a possible official channel for new releases. That means more games, more community growth, and maybe even more attention to this console that's long been underrated. And not just that, the ability to play some of these sleeper titles that the homebrew community has been releasing for the past several years. Many of them are impossible to play for us because not everyone was able to get an LTO flash cartridge. A lot of these games are encrypted, so they only work on JZI TV with a passcode, or they need to be played on an LTO cartridge, which not everyone has. So there's that compatibility issue. And then, the release of these games is so limited. Not everyone is able to get a physical copy of the game. So, you're hunting down a homebrew game for hundreds of dollars on eBay if that's your only option. So this might open up a new channel to be able to play these games, such as Anthropomorphic 4 or some of the many other amazing games by Electronite, and the number of homebrew games that I've missed out on over the years. So those are my thoughts. The Intellivision Sprint announcement is more than just nostalgia. It's a revival. It's a bridge, and for the folks like me, and maybe folks like you, it's a signal. The love for this console hasn't faded. It's just been simmering. And if you're into retro consoles, homebrew, or just a story of gaming tech from the past making a new splash, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I don't normally do videos like this. My main channel gimmick is backpacking and hiking. But if you're into that, feel free to subscribe. Every once in a while, I'll throw up a video like this. Anyways,